Welcome to Ask the Experts, where each week we talk to people in the industry to get that inside word on what's happening right now, what that means for the tactics you should be using to make the most of your money. Now, money world has been all over the place, and it does like to keep us on our toes, but really it's been even more than usual. We've got the interest rates heading down, yay, but there are also talks of recession, boo, and then the share market all over the place, to say the least. So, whether it's investing or even just your overall money strategy, what do you do at a time like this? Well, this week I've partnered up with EnableMe, who has kindly lent us their expert, Katie Wesney, head strategic coach. You love her. Her episodes always pop off, so she is going to give it to us straight, like she always does. Making Sense has partnered up with EnableMe to get you the strategies for reaching financial freedom faster. Whether you're wanting to get mortgage-free or grow your wealth through investments, they've got the team to help you. Head to their website to learn more. Visit enable.me today. Before we get into it, Making Sense is stoked to be supported by KiwiBank. We've teamed up to bring you insight directly from their people, the experts who live and breathe this stuff every day. It's not the outdated stuff that worked 5 years ago. It's what's happening right now in the industry to help you make the most of your money. This is making Kiwi better off. This is Kiwi.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's so nice to have you back. It's so funny. Whenever we have these little pre-chats ahead of time, we're always like, yes, this is going to be great. We get to chat and call it work. Look, I laid out a few factors earlier. Interest rates, recession, share market craziness. There's other stuff in the mix, right, too. What do you think are the biggest factors right now people should be keeping an eye on with their money?
I think firstly, your emotional reaction to those headlines. Your composure is your superpower at the moment, and keeping your head. They're designed to grab attention, to scare you a little bit. And I think that composure piece is really important. Having the ability to zoom out and understand your own time horizons, that's so important in distilling what all this means to you. Because let's be honest, if you're young, even in your 40s, you've got 20 odd years to retirement, today's blip or last week's blip, it is just a blip in a really long time horizon. And I think also really understanding that consistency counts no matter what is swirling around you. And I think that consistency feeds into that compounding piece, which makes such a difference, Francis. I looked at a wee example recently of just $10,000 invested over a time frame. And there were kind of 3 different scenarios, and they were all earning 10%, great return. That first one, the person just took out all of those returns. So 10,000 remained invested and they took out those returns. The second one, they reinvested those returns. So $10,000, whatever return, they kept reinvesting it over a time period. And the third scenario, $10,000, reinvested the returns, but added only $50 per month. In terms of outcomes, it blows your mind. Over 40 years, $10,000 in that first scenario, not reinvesting, etc., $50,000. Second scenario, over $400,000 over that time period. But wait for it, that third scenario, over $700,000 with those small incremental investments over time. They really can change trajectories. And I think it's really important to keep in mind.
Yes, I think that what you're saying there about keeping your head, staying cool, calm, collected, and sticking to whatever the plan is so important, because they've done so many studies on that. I love the example you've got there. And they've done so many studies all over the place of just keeping going, not trying to put money in, take it out and, play silly games. just keeping going is often the difference. I didn't realize it was quite that big a difference, like several $100,000 difference. Our brains are not built for compounding, eh?
So powerful, so powerful. And I think when you know those things, you can almost zoom out, and that makes you feel calmer and braver.
One of the things, I got asked to do a little, segment on breakfast this week where they were saying about, what do we do and how do we keep this going? And it's always tricky, right? When I'm talking in the media, and obviously I'm a former journalist, it's I don't want to rag on them. I think they do a great job and it's great to be informed. Your point there, though, about it's designed to get your attention. It is designed to make you feel a certain way. I think it's good to be informed while knowing, of course, they want your attention. We live in an attention economy, and you've kind of, as you say informed, keep on the headlines, but your personal situation, when you do that zoom out, your personal situation and your personal timeline impacts things more than a headline, right?
I couldn't agree more. And I call it kind of information hygiene. So important. I think that's one of the worst things you could do at the moment is obsessively check your KiwiSaver balance, etc. That's just not useful. So just like having a shower twice a day, it's really clocking how often should I be checking my investment balances. And like you said, you want to be across it, but maybe daily or hourly is just not useful to you. So maybe you schedule that once a month, etc., just to make sure that you are looking after yourself and not adding additional pressure to yourself.
Yeah. Okay. And I think one of the other things as well, like I've had people in the DMs asking me for strategies. And I think, personally, I look at it, there's always the two different strategies, defensive, aggressive, right? If people are thinking defensive and things are all a little curly crazy at the moment, are there any parts of your money you should be protecting?
Absolutely. And I think that's about having that really strong financial foundation as part of that plan and part of that defensive piece. And you have to have both, but part of that defensive piece, I think, comes down to just a few things. One is having a really good buffer or emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of expenditure accessible to you. What does that do? It helps you sleep at night, but it also helps you to be braver, to stay the course and not knee-jerk in terms of reactions. Secondly, making sure you have that good debt management strategy that does form part of that defensive piece. So we're really making sure we address unproductive debt, high interest debt like credit cards, etc. Let's just get done with that. I think also that insurance piece plays into that defensive strategy as well. Again, that's just meaning that your flank isn't unnecessarily exposed. Super important in making sure that you can stick to your plan.
I love that. And what you said there about the good stable base. Yes. So key. I think when you've got that stable base and those defensive strategies locked in, it does make you feel more confident, less stressed with your money, that you can go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to keep on investing and that's going to be fine, because you do feel protected. When you're operating out of a place of, if I get one thing wrong here, I'm stuffed. It's hard to think clearly in that situation, right?
It's so true that there's so much static at the moment in terms of tariffs, interest rates, recession. That is really scary. But again, just having that really solid foundation, having a plan, it means that you are actually buffering yourself from what might come next.
Not so fun fact. When you take on a 30-year mortgage, you'll probably pay more than double what you originally borrowed because of the cost of interest. That's probably not the Kiwi dream you bought into. The team at EnableMe specialise in taking charge of your money and growing your wealth, including how to get rid of your mortgage faster. Book a consultation with an EnableMe financial advisor today by visiting enable.me.
Life looks different for everyone. Maybe you're buying your first home, growing your whānau, dreaming of travel, or simply trying to stay on top of things. KiwiBank has the tools to help you manage your money your way. Find out more at kiwibank.co.nz. This is making Kiwi better off. This is Kiwi. Is there anything that you see? Because obviously you're dealing with clients all the time. And I love that because you get to see some of the real world, whether the stuff actually works or not. So when you're talking to clients, is there anything people often want to do at a time like this? And it's a bad idea and you have to talk them down off the ledge?
I have lots to say on this topic. I'll limit it, though, to when clients try and time the market. There is no such thing. It's always time in the market. And if you wait for the stars to align, for that perfect timing to exist, you generally miss the boat. So I think that timing piece, it's about making really good decisions, taking action, but doing it when you should, not trying to wait. And I think taking action is just so important.
100% agree. Right. Okay. So that's the defensive and I love it. What about the aggressive? Because I've also had the DMs filling up with people saying, is this my time? Can I get ahead? And there's that saying, right, that millionaires are made in recessions. Now, you've just talked about timing the market and how tricky that can be. This is, I think, the flip side of that, where people think maybe I pile in now. So can you make money at a time like this? Is it a good idea? What are good strategies? What do we do? Tell me.
Likely you already are if you're a KiwiSaver and you're consistently contributing. We've talked about this before, that dollar cost averaging, which essentially means consistently contributing no matter what the market is doing. But if you've been doing that through this turbulent time, essentially the market's been on sale and you've been buying more shares in terms of your contribution. So likely you're already doing that. And I think that staying true to your plan, continuing taking action, that is really important in terms of not sitting, waiting on the fence. If you were, for example, going to buy an investment property as part of your plan, you still should. That's again about not waiting. It's consistently taking action and doing the things that you should, not waiting, because there is a cost to doing nothing.
Yes. This is the thing as well, is I understand that people want to get things right, and I get that. But I think analysis paralysis is actually such a danger for people. And there is that real thing of just start small, just get going on whatever your plan is. Just start in a small way. Then you learn by doing, you can ramp it up. And like you say, the danger of inaction, that must be massive.
It really is. And I think we've got to clock that financial confidence doesn't come from timing the market immaculately. It's just not. It's about having a sound strategy that you execute on regardless, which will weather the inevitable financial storms, because they will happen. That is just life.
100%. Okay, if there's just one thing you wanted, maybe not everyone, but just about everyone, one thing that was really important for just about everyone to do or to keep in mind at a time like this, what would that be?
Please have a plan. Please. What are your goals? What are your timelines? And what are the strategies you're executing to get you there? Write it down. It's almost like a commitment device.
Yes.
It really is. And it does help you to be braver. It's your North Star. Review it, of course. That's really important. But have a plan. And if you get stuck, reach out for advice. Have a plan. Execute on said plan. And your trajectory will shift. I promise you.
Yeah. Know what matters to you. Know what you want to achieve. And then everything else falls into line after that, right?
Yeah. And everyone is different. But again, I think there's that lovely sense of achievement when you are moving forward. And so just as we've discussed, it allows you also to zoom out, check your plan, and keep doing what you need to, even if it does feel a little bit scary, because that market volatility, that's the price we're paying for returns. If it wasn't volatile, likely we wouldn't make the returns. So you've got to clock that. But having that plan, it will make you feel braver and do what needs to be done.
Yep. So true. So true. Love it. Thank you so much. That's Katie Wesney from EnableMe giving us the inside word, keeping your money sane when everything else has gone crazy. Now, if this episode of the Making Sense podcast was helpful to you, hit subscribe and then send it to a friend as well so that both of you never miss a trick with your money. You can also send us your questions if you want them answered in a future podcast episode. Drop them either in the comments or send them to me on social media at FrancisCookNZ, pretty much everywhere. Until next time, have a great day.
Just a note before you go, this podcast can only give you general information about how things work in most cases. It's not individual financial advice. We're all different, so some of this might not apply to your specific situation. Take what works for you, ignore the rest. If you're after individual financial advice, a financial advisor is always the best bet.